Hi, my name's Tim Spears. I'm a fire inspector with the Colorado Springs Fire Department. As summer vacation approaches, the Colorado Springs Fire and Police Departments would like to take a moment to discuss some important safety items to keep you and your family safe over the summer vacation. As summer approaches, children are spending more time at home, and throughout the country, we see an increase in the juvenile misuse of fire. The majority of the children that die in a fire die as a result of a fire that they started. It's also important to note children as young as the age of 10 can be charged with the crime of arson. Some of the warning signs that parents need to identify are changes in mood and behavior. Also, too, if children show curiosity into fire, and if they collect things to build and start a fire. It's always important if you have a fire in your house to call 911, and then following the incident, to contact the Colorado Springs Fire Department for resources to help with intervention, prevention, and education. During the summer, families enjoy campfires and outdoor grilling, but it's important that we maintain clearance between those items and anything that can burn, such as this dry vegetation. Also, too, when we dispose of the coals, we want to make sure that they're cool and that we're placing them in a metal container with a tight-fitting cover. Every once in a while during the summer, you will see that the fire department will enact burn bans or burn restrictions. It's important to understand the difference between the two. Burning restrictions are limitations on those activities that you can do. Burn ban are those activities that are prohibited. So it's important to identify those activities. For a full list of those activities, you can consult the Colorado Springs Fire Department website for more information. The Colorado Springs Emergency Services wants to ensure that you're prepared in case of an emergency, such as a fire or a flood. One thing that homeowners and families can do is prepare and practice an emergency evacuation plan. An example of one is right here. As you can see, we have 2 ways out, and then we also have an established meeting place. It's important that we practice these, and also too that we go over them with anybody that would happen to be visiting the home. Another thing that you can do to help prepare in case of an emergency is develop an emergency kit. A kit should include things such as an emergency radio, a first aid kit, and medications. For additional information and steps to help keep you safe in case of an emergency, please go to springsgov.com. There you will find important safety tips and information to help you develop one of these emergency kits and also to help you prepare in case there is a wildfire or a flood. So you want to install carbon monoxide alarms on each level of the home and outside each sleeping area. Smoke alarms save lives, so it's important that we change the batteries at least once a year. And if they're greater than 10 years old, we want to ensure that we replace them. During this video, we've covered many important safety tips to keep you and your family safe over the summer vacation. Should you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to contact the Colorado Springs Fire Department.
Hi, I'm Officer Reeser with the Colorado Springs Police Department. Today I'm going to talk about summer safety for you and your children. First, we're going to talk about different things you can do within your home environment to keep you and your children safe. As we transition into the summer months, students are often left home alone. Some things to remember is what your students are doing when they're home alone. I'm going to give you some examples of different things we see within the Colorado Springs Police Department of activities that kids are partaking in. As Tim Spears from the Fire Department previously spoke about, the age of accountability for a child in the state of Colorado is 10 years old. What the age of accountability means is at 10 years old, the law recognizes that the child is responsible for his actions. Therefore, any actions your child takes within your home, whether you're home or not, can be held against you and your child in the court of law. Next, we're going to talk about some very serious issues with young adolescents: drugs and alcohol. First off, I'm going to touch on alcohol. When you're not at your home, where's your alcohol stored? Do you keep it in a liquor cabinet that's locked? Do you keep it in a top cabinet up above the fridge? Do your children have access to this? Are they into that stage where they're experimenting? These are things to consider with where you're having the alcohol stored in your home. Next, we're going to talk about drugs. In the state of Colorado, based on Amendment 64, which was recently passed, marijuana is legal for adults 21 years of age or older. If you're under the age of 21, it is not legal. As law enforcement, we're concerned that marijuana, depending on the individual, can be a gateway drug. These individuals will experiment, try marijuana, often they'll want a higher high, and then they will move to more illicit drugs such as methamphetamines, cocaine, ecstasy, etc. When your children are home, what are they doing? Are they on the internet? Do you have filters set up? These are things to consider when your child's home alone. With today's age of internet, children are allowed to go multiple places and get into different venues that we could never imagine as adults today. Kids on the internet can get into all sorts of dangers, such as stranger danger, where they're talking to people they don't even know on the internet. They can also get into internet pornography and sites which can be tracked directly back to your IP address, which can come back to you as the parent. Summertime, what a great time in Colorado to get out and enjoy the great outdoors. Our students also like to get out and enjoy the great outdoors, get their friends, load up in the car, and to head out to whatever outing they'd like to do. Some things to take into consideration. A lot of our students are new drivers. In the state of Colorado, we have restrictions on minor drivers. Basically, what that law is saying is that for the first 6 months, your new driver has their license. They're allowed one occupant in the vehicle. That occupant has to be either a parent or guardian or a sibling. There are no exceptions to this. From 6 months to a year, they're allowed one occupant. This occupant has to be properly seat belted in the vehicle and not be a distraction to that driver. The whole reason these laws were written was for the distracted driving, which we're going to talk about here shortly. When the person has had their license for 1 year and they're under the age of 18, at that 1 year mark, they're allowed to have as many occupants as that vehicle has seat belts. Things to take into consideration when they're driving the vehicle. Until they're 18 years of age, they are not allowed to use or operate any type of cell phone device in their vehicle. This is written because of the distracted driving law. When they're learning to be a new driver on the roadways here in Colorado, the last thing we need is for a young driver to be trying to multitask while operating in the rules of the road. We've hoped the information we share with you today is insightful to helping you plan a safe and productive summer. If you have any questions, you can go to the Colorado Springs City website at springsgov.com, where there's links to the Emergency Operations Center, Police Department, and Fire Department. Thank you for your time.